Welcome to our English news edition coming to you from Canal, Algérie. To the headlines. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, signs the 2023 finance law favoring the state's social policy via a series of measures meant to back the purchasing power. The President of the Republic chairs a meeting of the Council of Ministers devoted to several bills and presentations pertaining to several sectors. And further revelations involving more and more the Makhzen regime in the corruption scandal of the European MPs against a background of demonstrations denouncing normalization. Good evening, those are today's major headlines. And the beginning is with the President of the Republic, Supreme Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense, Abdelmajid Tebboune, who signed on Sunday the 2023 finance law. The signing ceremony took place at the premises of the Presidency of the Republic in the presence of the Chairman of the Council of the Nation, Salah Goudjil, the Chairman of the National People's Assembly, Brahim Boughali, Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman, the Army General Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Saïd Chengreha, the Principal Private Secretary of the Presidency, Abdelaziz Khalaf, as well as other high-ranking state officials. A souvenir photo was then taken on the occasion. The 2023 finance law attaches a great importance to the social welfare of citizens via increasing salaries and allowances in quest of a better purchasing power to cope with the latest economic developments. Ines Kalou gives us broad lines of this law.
Worked out on the basis of an oil price of $60 per barrel. The 2023 finance law, which will come into force on January 1st, will give a new impetus to the national economy and consolidate the social achievements. This finance law is featured by a huge amount allocated to the state budget in order to ensure the functioning and cover total expenditures. The first time in the history of the country that a finance law provides for such a huge amount of almost 40,000 billion dinars. This finance law attaches a great importance to operating expenses with almost 10,000 billion dinars, an increase of almost 27%, including 4,000 assigned to salaries. This increase is mainly due to the assumption of the financial impact resulting from the adjustment of the salary scale, as well as the integration of the beneficiaries of the professional aid scheme and the conversion of social insertion contracts into undetermined duration contracts. The growth rate provided for in this finance law is 4.1%. Inflation is estimated at 5%, while foreign exchange reserves are around $60 billion. These figures denote that the social character of the state is preserved, especially since no new taxes will be imposed on citizens who are entitled to expect an improvement in their purchasing power via hiking their salaries starting next month, as well as unemployment and retirement allowances. An approach which experts agree that it is a socio-economic option. The improvement of the purchasing power pulls the consumption, which boosts the economic activity. This one is called upon to be diversified. The finance law contains as well as several measures encouraging investment and entrepreneurship, with notably many tax facilitations and bureaucratic alleviation. Among the measures included in the 2023 finance law, the resumption importing tourist vehicles of less than 3 years. Facilitation measures will be granted for the import of these types of vehicles, with advantages for electric and hybrid vehicles. The great novelty in this finance law is expectations going up to 2025, denoting the clear-sightedness of its drafters.
Still with the presidential activities marked by a meeting of the Council of Ministers devoted to several bills and presentations related to a number of economic sectors. Melissa Kubash has the full story.
After the opening of the meeting by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, and the presentation related to the government's activity for the past 15 days, President Tebboune gave the following guidelines. The increase in wages for the upcoming 2 years, 2023-2024, so that the annual level ranges will be between 4,500 to 8,500 dinars, making the increase approved up to 47%, raising the retirement grant in Algeria on the basis of each category's wage, raised the unemployment allowance from 13,000 dinars to 15,000 dinars, while the state covers the health insurance of the unemployed. The President of the Republic also instructed more facilitations to create economic companies in different sectors, which will push Algeria towards a smart economy to absorb unemployment among the youth. The President stressed the need to peg the wage grid with the purchasing power first, then with continuous support for the socially vulnerable fringes by taking into account the value of work and production. Concerning the status of the health sector, President Tebboune praised the efforts deployed by the medical staff over the past years during the health crisis. He also emphasized that the main problem in this sector is not related to its restructuring but to management, and that reform should continue through the year and not for a limited period, motivating doctors and paramedics by creating the optimal professional and social atmosphere to carry out their tasks in complete psychological comfort. The President highlighted the necessity of vocational rehabilitation of paramedical agents through training courses with the aim of integrating them into the mechanism of administrative and professional promotions, upgrading and modernizing hospital and health services according to a unified quality, creating a new internal work system for hospitals, allowing electronic follow-up of medical files across all patients' treatment path, and relieving pressure on doctors. Separating between administrative, medical management and orientation towards hospital specialization to create treatment posts that help relieve pressure on hospitals. As for the pharmaceutical industry, the President hailed the efforts made to upgrade the strategic sector, indicating the importance of providing citizens with medicines. Rehabilitate the Sidel complex to cover large part of the needs of national medicine market after which rated to 5%, and it used to have a market share estimated at 47%. The production of children vaccine and insulin in Algeria starting from 2023, combating drug smuggling in all its forms and inflicting the most severe penalties on those involved. Regarding the roadmap for the development of hydrogen in Algeria, the President of the Republic appreciated the strategy to create a new source of energy in Algeria, especially with the world moving towards clean energies, highlighting the importance to study and prepare well for these projects. The President oriented the sectors concerned with the strategy to rely on seawater desalination stations to develop hydrogen. He also instructed the Energy Minister to increase gas production in order to maintain the national consumption rate on one hand and strengthen exports on the other hand. As for the draft loan credit, banking money, public accounting and financial management, they were improved by the Council of Ministers after the approval of the President to the opening of the Housing Bank and bank branches abroad in France, Mauritania, Senegal and Niger. The President also clarified the legal value of the two bills, which come as an extension of the reforms that the financial and economic systems have generally known over the past 3 years. The President appreciated the level reached by the vocational training and education policy, as Algeria counts 1,300 institutes and training centers across the national territory in different fields. Finally, concerning the roadmap of the fisheries sector and fish production, President Tebboune hailed the efforts deployed by the youth in aquaculture and fisheries production, despite the average capabilities, which made the price of the fisheries products acceptable, encouraged fishing vessels to raise production rates, tasking the Ministers of Interior and Transport to coordinate so as to facilitate the expansion of these enterprises at the level of ports.
Turning to Touggourt now, the new province in the south of the country benefits from a development plan thanks to the obstacles lifting on several projects. The potential of the region raised by the Interior Minister Brahim Marad during his working visit to the province. Najah Tayyar reports.
This meeting with the Interior Minister was an ideal opportunity for the civil society representatives to present their concerns relating essentially to the employment, health, housing and everything pertaining to the development of their province.
The
As a representative of the newly graduated students, I would like to say that most of them cannot find a job after they graduated. Tugurt has a large number of very talented craftsmen who need the government support and accompaniment to promote their creation. The Interior Minister affirmed that the state ensures the relaunch of development projects in Tugurt, stressing that his department would work to identify the needs and concerns of the citizens for a better management. All these shortcomings must be reconsidered. We must first establish a diagnosis of the strengths and the weaknesses of this province. Tugurt authorities' representatives' mission, whether elected or appointed, are to respond to the citizens' concerns. The government will always assume its responsibilities towards the latter and will work to improve their living conditions. At the end of the meeting, Brahim Arad called on the civil society actors to contribute more to the development efforts and to join the recovery process of this province that has great economic assets.
In a different context and as part of the Algerian-Qatari cooperation, Qatar made a donation on Sunday at the premises of the Interior Ministry for the benefit of Al Bayt province, a donation concerning the achievement of a specialized mother-child medical center, the agreement of which was handed over by the Qatari ambassador to Algeria, Abdulaziz Ali Nama, to the governor of Al Bayt, Mohammed Farid, and this in the presence of the Interior Minister, Brahim Merad. And the year 2022, to be over in few days, can be termed as a year of success at the diplomatic level for the Sahrawi people, who managed to achieve a remarkable breakthrough in terms of recognition and representation on the international scene. Ines Killu has more to say.
Both diplomatically and legally, 2022 has been the year of unprecedented success for the Sahrawi cause. The re-establishment of relations with some countries committed to respecting the right to self-determination, the resolutions of the various courts of justice, and the participation of Sahrawi President Brahim Ghali in a number of international events, such as the proceedings of the 60th European African Union Summit in Brussels and the 8th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, a telling evidence of the impetus given to the Sahrawi cause. Despite the attempts of the Makhzen to prevent all diplomatic relations with Western Sahara, important diplomatic achievements have been made this year in this country. 2022 was marked by the appointment of the first ambassador of Botswana and Angola to the Sahrawi Republic and the visit of the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Honduras, Torres Zelaya Gerardo, to the Sahrawi refugee camps, as well as the re-establishment of diplomatic relations with Peru and Colombia. South Sudan has also re-established diplomatic relations with Western Sahara, which were suspended in 2018, and Kenya, which reaffirmed its support for the indisputable and inalienable right of the Sahrawi people to self-determination. On the legal front, the African Court of Human and People's Rights issued a ruling on September 22nd denouncing the Moroccan occupation of Western Sahara, calling on all AU member states to find a lasting solution to this occupation and ensure the Sahrawi people's right to self-determination. Added to this, the decision of the French Council of State banning the import of agricultural products from the occupied Sahrawi territories. Moreover, the Sahrawi cause had great support in international fora. Several representatives of countries and international organizations at the UN have reiterated their support for the respect of the inalienable right of the Sahrawi people to self-determination, denouncing the violence and human rights violations exercised by the Moroccan occupier in occupied Western Sahara. The last conference of the European Coordination for the Support and Solidarity with the Sahrawi People, which took place in December in Berlin, as a major proof of the international support for the Sahrawi people's right to self-determination.
And the aftermath of the so-called Morocco Gate is taking a serious development, with more revelations of European MPs putting the Makhzen regime in dire straits. More insights with Miki Sakobash.
Morocco is facing a number of scandals. New secrets have been unveiled, showing the real face of the Makhzen that offers gifts and vacations that costs nearly 100,000 euros to bribe European MPs and gain electoral support in the European Parliament. According to the Belgium Secret Services in charge of this investigation, The group of MPs involved in this case was in charge of bringing electoral support to the Makhzen, who in return will give them large amount of money, a revelation made by the Italian newspaper Il Fatto Quotidiano. The same source linked between the so-called Maroc Gate and the Pegasus spying scandal indicated that behind the Moroccan involvement stands the Euro-Mediterranean Accord between the European Union and Rabat, highlighting the Euro scandal showcase of the practices used by Moroccan secret services to bribe and control European MPs intercepted with the use of Pegasus. The Sahrawi human rights activist Mohamed Dihani stated to the Italian newspaper El Messaggero that Pegasus was used as an armed wing of the Moroccan secret services to control Europe and the rest of the world. Sophie Infeld, reporter of the Investigation Commission of the European Union on the use of Pegasus and equivalent surveillance spyware, explained that the Vice President of the European Parliament, Eva Kaili, charged in this case, attempted to stop the investigation of Pegasus during the spying scandal in Greece.
Still in Morocco, where thousands of demonstrators took to the streets in several cities of the country to denounce normalization with the Zionist entity 2 years ago, they also seized this opportunity to voice their unconditional support for the Palestinian fair cause. Najah Tayyar once again.
The Moroccan street is once again in turmoil at the call of the Moroccan Front in support of Palestine. Hundreds of demonstrators came out in several cities of the country more than ever determined to continue their protests against the normalization of Morocco with a Zionist entity and also to reject the expensive living conditions which forced thousands of people to stage daily sit-ins. The Palestinian cause is the Moroccan people cause as well, and all the agreements with the Zionist entity concern them and their system as well.
العميل اللي كيصهيون بأنه الشعب المغربي والشعب الفلسطيني وجميع الشعوب طال الزمن.
We all know that the Moroccan and the Palestinian people will be victorious sooner or later. We gained the experience from the other nations such as the Algerian and Vietnamese people who were colonized for more than 100 years, then defeated the colonizer. Same will be with Palestinian people. The only condition is all of us, the Arab people, to remain standing for it.
غادي ينتصر على الاستعمار الصهيوني، فالاستعمار الصهيوني إلى زوال والشعب الفلسطيني إلى الانتصار، ولكن شريطة أننا نبقى واقفين كشعوب، شعب مغربي وجزائري وتونسي وموريتاني وليبي ومصري وغيرهم من الشعوب.
The Moroccan Front in support of Palestine insists on the continuation of the struggle until the normalization with the Zionist entity cancellation, the expulsion of its representative in Morocco, and the promulgation of the law criminalizing all forms of normalization with the Zionist entity. All the Moroccan people are furiously determined to bring down the normalization of Morocco with a Zionist entity that is treasonous and humiliating. We refuse the normalization with the Zionist entity because it is a criminal entity. In this season of the new year, the entity assassinated the journalist Shirin Abu Aqla and the Palestinian people almost daily. In addition to the Palestinian house's demolition, given that it is a criminal entity, the whole world is in solidarity with the Palestinian people.
يمارس جرائم يومية حق الشعب الفلسطيني ولأنه كيان مجرم فالعالم متضامن مع الشعب الفلسطيني.
The continuation of the Zionist aggressions against the Palestinians has only further strengthened the will of the Moroccan people, fixed on making their voices heard by the Makhzen regime that seems deaf to all appeals.
And with that, we come to the end of our today's program. Thank you for tuning in and goodbye.